Hello, this is Vex, and welcome back to Tyranny. If you may recall in our last episode, we managed to end the Edict of Fire and get the Silent Archive in the process. Little caveat about that, I'm pretty sure there is a way that we can get the Silent Archive and not destroy the Burning Library. I'm not positive of whether that will end the Edict of Fire, though. Basically, if you replace the Silent Archive with another artifact item, you can keep that spell going that was keeping the area of with the Silent Archive going. As I said, I'm not 100% sure about whether that will end the Edict of Fire, though. Anyway, as I was saying in the last video, I would pick us up at the next area. However, I did notice we have a missive from the Voices in the Rot, so I think I'll read that before I pick us up at our next destination. Dearest Fatebinder, champion of Tunon's Gavel, slayer of Choirmen, we hope you recognize that we bear you no ill will. Who understands treachery if not the Archon of Secrets? We've always held the highest esteem for the work of other specialists in the art of duplicitousness. Make no mistake, dear Fatebinder, after your little performance at Veteran's Well, and with such a flair for theatrical illumination, you have ascended in our estimate. We trust you will understand that when we peel the flesh from your bones and squeeze the bile from your quivering innards, it's strictly out of artistic integrity and the courtesy owed a fellow professional. Nothing personal at all. Oh yeah, definitely not Voices. But enough about our friendly rivalry. Do you enjoy the company of our little spy? Her dance never fails to inspire in us the most pleasant quivers. We have a gift for her, delivered through you due to the girl's questionable faculty for letters. We've learned from one of our birds that a mercenary in Haven has been absolutely gloating about slaying her sisters. He boasts even secured him work defending some crossing merchant. Show her the sigils on the reverse. She'll know what they mean. The Voices in the Archon of Secrets and Master of Kakomi. The opposite page contains several rough ink-stretched symbols that look like nothing more than a child's pictographs of their favorite animals. Okay, we got a few choices to respond to the Voice's letter, which, as you see, he absolutely hates us, but that's not a surprise. We can say thanks. I would definitely add a question mark to that. We can inquire further. We can threaten the Voices, or respond rudely. I'm kind of curious about what he means, so I'm going to inquire further. Archon of Secrets. No doubt you intend your missive to elect violence and chaos. That's standard for you, however. So I'm left to wonder, what else do you hope to accomplish, Fatebinder Vexx? So I'm going to send that to him, and you may have noticed when we opened the missive from the Voices, we got a quest. So I guess we'll have to talk to Verse about it. After all, he did mention her. So when we're back at our spire, I will talk to her about that. But for now, I will see you when we are in our next area, which is actually going to be talking to Bleden Mark. See you shortly. And welcome back to Ashenvale. Didn't take long enough for us to get a response from the Voices, but we are here to speak with Bleden Mark anyway. But it looks like both Lantry and Barrick want to talk to us about something. No doubt about what happened at the library. Let's start off with Lantry, because, well, I'm hovering over his thing.
That's twice now. By Kyros's icy nethers, twice! Edicts have been broken before, but never in all my many years have I heard of one person doing it twice.
Alright, we got a couple of choices with how to respond to Lantry. No choice to talk about Kyros's icy nethers, thankfully. Anyway, we can start off with, anybody can do it. Just think about the wording of the edict, and you'll find Kairos has left options. an outlaw, so to speak. Or we could go on and say, maybe later I'll slay an Archon. Still planning on my day. We can glare silently, or we can just say, oh, quit being awestruck and write this down for future generations. Well, that's a bit of a dick response. But I'm going to go with the kind of funny response. Say, maybe later I'll slay an Archon. Still planning my day.
I think that's a jest. But others will see your actions and assume you're capable of just about anything. Especially slaying an Archon.
Well, we are pretty awesome. And we just go back to talking to Lantry here after that. Well, now let's see what Barrack has to say about, well, everything.
It is rare enough that anyone has the opportunity to proclaim an edict, much less break one. How are you holding up, Fatebinder?
One, as Lantry just mentioned, we've broken two after we proclaimed the first one. Actually, we've proclaimed both edicts and broke both of them. There's just been a little bit of time between when we proclaimed the Edict of Fire and when we broke it. Anyway, we can respond to Barrack with, to be honest, my head hurts. We can say, I toy with powers greater than my understanding, and yet I don't stop. That sounds very boastful. We can use our War Mage background to say, the Arcana can seem overwhelming at times, but I think I have the fortitude to maintain. It's a little boastful too, in a way, I suppose. Or we could just say, I don't want to discuss this with you. I'm going to go with, to be honest, my head hurts.
That is to be expected. I am no expert in arcane matters, but I understand that the will and commitment needed to shatter Kairos' magic are not resources in abundance.
Yeah.
Take care that you don't exhaust yourself and become worthless to the war effort.
Barrack looks you up and down with appraisal, keeping any conclusions to himself.
What can I do for you?
Well, nothing in the moment, Barrack. We are here to speak with someone else. So let's do just that. Oh, and there he is. He appears out of the nether. Well, it gets the shadows. The shadows before you twist and flare, fusing sharply into the form of Bleden Mark. The Archon of Shadow glides smoothly into his new surroundings.
You're not dead yet. Good. Keep this up, as I've no interest in searching the shadows for your corpse.
We don't really want to be found as a corpse. One thing I just kind of noticed is the background, or well, Ashenvale has changed. Remember the last time we were here spleeting with Bleden Mark, everything was on fire, including the trees, who surprisingly hadn't burnt down yet. But because we ended the Edict of Fire, Ashenvale is, well, not on fire anymore.
I've caught a few glimpses of what you did back there with the Edict of Fire. Did you mean to channel the magic of the Edict?
Yeah, that's right. When we ended the Edict of Fire, it seemed to kind of go into us, didn't it? We can glare at him silently, say, I'm not sure what you mean, or we can lie to him. Of course, I knew what I was doing. Well, we really didn't, so I'm just going to glare silently.
Whatever the case, you seem a little different. You smell of brimstone and crisped parchment. You are different than before you broke the edict. I will leave it at that.
We are stronger because we are awesome.
Either way, you filch the Silent Archive and can benefit from its influence. To be honest, even I don't know the full extent of what knowledge it can offer you, but I do know the sages poured lifetimes of effort into it.
Yeah, kind of seems like they poured everything they had into it.
I imagine the archive was at its most useful when it was still a part of the library, before the edict did a number on it. But even now, it has a myriad of secrets to share. Can you hear its whispers? No? Then listen harder, kid.
Whispers?
I was never allowed to see the Silent Archive when it was in working order, but I knew there were elaborate rituals to put information into the archive, or to ask a specific question of it. You are holding the physical vessel of the Silent Archive, and while I doubt it was designed to be used outside of the chamber where it's been housed for centuries, I'm told sages who used to work with the archive reported it would speak to them in their dreams. In the benign educational sense, not in the go crazy and eat your family sense of things. I'm sure it's perfectly safe.
Well, it seems a little odd that they may have not designed the archive to be used outside of that chamber. I mean, one would think they'd want to be able to use it elsewhere in case they needed to move. Seems a bit of a design flaw if that was the case. But we got a couple of choices. Perhaps I should have you hold on to it then. I'm pretty sure we're speaking of Lantry here, not Bleden Mark, but I'm not positive. We can longingly stroke the scroll, but it whispers such sweet nothings to me. Or, if Bleden Mark says I'll benefit from possessing it, then I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. Second option is definitely quite humorous. I'm gonna go with the first option.
Oh, if you insist, I would be most honored. I really have no more of an idea what to do with it than you do, but I promise I'll treat it with care.
Yarkon arches a red, smeared brow. He smirks, though he at least makes a pretense of attempting to keep a straight face.
You need to be a lot more threatening than you are now, and a little study and practice won't suffice. You'll need to aim bigger. You'll need to track down the relics of tears that escaped capture in the war. In the Blade Grave, the Stone Sea, and Haven each, there lies at least one artifact that can aid such an aura. Be prepared to travel far and wide in the effort to recover them. Aside from the practical point of getting you armed, uncovering these relics could lend you some legitimacy in the eyes of the Tearsmen, depending on how you go about it, of course.
Alright, now this is where we are able to actually slightly branch out and choose a bit of our own path, although we'll eventually be doing all three. We could choose to go to the Blade Grave, to the Stone Sea, or back to Lethian's Crossing. Well, seeing as we've already been to Lethian's Crossing and started stuff there, I think I will continue on with Lethian's Crossing.
Tunon has sent a forge-bound master to the crossing, and this mage-smith has just finished work on a masterpiece dubbed the Magebane. It's an iron helmet infused with wards against the Bane. While this is intended to help keep the settlement free of scourges from the nearby old walls, it would be of great use to you personally. Call it a hunch, but I'm betting you'll find the Magebane's creator, Zedenya, sweating over the fires of Lethian's forge. And while I doubt you can just convince her to hand you the helm, her knowledge of it could prove helpful to your little heist. The crossing is by a junction in the old walls, so you'll have a chance to put the helmet's Bane ward to the test. When you're ready, meet me here once more. We'll discuss what's next.
The few patches of color on the Archon begin to darken as the edges of his form ripple and blur, diffusing into an intangible blackness. Wait, I still have some questions. The Archon lets out a short sigh as the color returns to his image. Again with the questions. What do you want to know? Alright, we can go through a whole bunch of things. We could ask him, why are you helping me? We want to know more about him. I want to know about the other Archons. What do you know about Kairos? What do you know about the old wall spires throughout the tiers? Or finally, why do you have me hunting some dumb relics? Or we can just say, yeah, I'm done. I'm kind of curious why he wants us to hunt the relics, though. You make it sound like I'm inflicting you with a punishment when I'm trying to point you in the right direction. You're putting yourself out there as a target of the Archons. Sorry about that. Your survival will depend on you claiming every advantage at your disposal. Just trying to point you towards something that'll help you help yourself. Oh, so he's trying to get us stronger to potentially fight an Archon. It's a good idea, actually. I'm curious what he knows about the spires, though. Oh, we gained favor for that one. Now you're asking the right kind of questions, kid. What's the best thing to have someone trying to knife you? Wait, let's rephrase that. What's the best thing to have when someone's trying to knife you in the back? No, not an iron cuirass. Think bigger, more impenetrable, and taller, like a stone spire that can quite literally rise you above your enemies. He bares his teeth, but there's no warmth on his smile. There's a power that comes with standing above the rest, you know. Oh, we can actually ask him about a couple of the couple of the spires. Let's start off with the spire in Haven, because, well, we're heading there anyway. Tell me about the Sunset Spire in Haven. The old walls in Haven, or rather those that still remain, connect Twin Rivers and Lethian's Crossing. However, I believe the Lethian's entrance was sealed to protect the settlement against the burgeoning infestation of Bane. What about the Ocean Spire in Stalwart? A couple centuries ago, the regents of Stalwart were of a mind that greatness awaited them should they reach the top. Of course, they lost so many engineers in the process that they eventually abandoned the task for a fool's errand. But if you're looking to assess the Ocean Spire's central chamber, I happen to know of a sizable breach in the old walls, thanks to the destruction from a certain edict. That should permit you illegal entrance. He eyes you with interest and challenge. What about the spires in the Stone Sea? Yes, there's at least, I think, 2 spires in the Stone Sea. That'd be the Aurora Spire and the Dawning Spire you're talking about. What I really want to know is why Karen cut out a path for the Dawning Spire when the Stone Stalkers, his fiercest supporters during the downfall, had long camped at the Aurora Spire. Wait, his fiercest had long... Okay, now I see what that's saying. It's basically why he was going to one spire when his allies were at another one. He sighs, and the shadows wisp and shudder around him. Perhaps the Aurora Spire had become too tainted with blood to provide the healing he required. Interesting. So, it leaves us with a bit of information on each of the spires that we haven't been to. So, I think that's all. With a nod, he fades into darkness. Okay. Well, we got a bit of information, and we have our next destination. However, we also have a new missive. This one from Fatebinder Vexx, a matter archival. Fatebinder Vexx, forgive me the curtness of this rushed missive. The matter's too urgent for the luxury of formalness. I know that you braved the flaming ruins of the Venium Citadel. The archive, did you find it? Is it safe? Now, we can lie, say that the archive was destroyed. We can tell him that we never found it. Or we can ask for further information. Considering that having the archive is illegal according to Kairos, and this is another Fatebinder, he could be trying to trap us into saying that we have the archive, which would spell our death. But I'm kind of curious why he wants to know, so let's ask him for further information. Fatebinder Vexx, you seem to be possessing more than a passing familiarity with the Silent Archive. I thought it was something of a secret. Perhaps as an exchange of information is in order. Tell me what you know of it, and I can provide you with its current whereabouts. Oh, that last half of the sentence kind of signs that we know about it. I would have put, and I can tell you what I know, more or less. But let's send on the response. Alright, now with this,
Honest.
I guess we will head to the Spire and talk with Verse, see what she has to say about, well, what's, the Voices, that's it. What the Voices has to say, well, to give to her. I will see you back at the Spire. And hello, we are back. And we got missives again. Before we go talk with Verse. Oh, we got one from the Voices and a response from Regulus. Okay. This is from the Voices. Fatebinder, you wound us. Have we ever needed an incentive beyond violence and chaos? If we have an ulterior motive, it is merely to see that Verse does what Verse does with our gift. She is well practiced in both of these qualities, and we take an incredible pleasure observing her development. Set aside your paranoia and share in our delight, Vexx. The Voices of Narat. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense with his character. Now, we got the response from Regulus, a matter archival. Fatebinder Vexx, you have me under Mark's blade. I possess only scripts regarding the archive, fragments gleaned from oblique references from across a dozen texts. The sages sought a way to preserve all knowledge they collected, yet have it easily accessible to those that felt worthy of their for those they felt worthy of their secrets. I have found no reliable references to what solution they eventually settled on, but there certainly exists indications that they implemented something. Several documents intercepted over the years, some as recent as the conquest of the Tears, make reference to the sages bearing their discoveries to the Velium Citadel as tributes to be paid to the Silent Archive. The manner in which they wrote of it, I half expect you to tell me that the archive is a living person, some sage volunteer kept alive, or else in a state very lifelike. Through the guild's arts of preservation and healing, their mind forcefully filled to borders with every stroke of ink set to parchment, compelled through sigils of domination to reveal what they know to those bearing secret signs. I enter the realm of speculation, I fear, for we have exhausted what little evidence I have. Keep me in suspense no longer, Vexx. What became of the archive? Now, we only have two choices here, to say we destroyed it or it was never found. I'm going to go with I never found it. Alright, Fatebinder Regulus. Unfortunately, I did not find the object of which you seek. Perhaps the Overlord's edict reduced it to ashes, or perhaps it never existed at all. I'm not going to go with that one, actually. I think I'm going to say it was destroyed, that we destroyed it. Okay. I consign the knowledge hidden in the Silent Archive to the flame. As for the Overlord's restrictions on forbidden knowledge, surely you expected nothing less of me. I think if we went with the other option, he'd be like, well, why was the edict still going then? Alright. And let's go speak with Verse. Oh, wait, we got another missive. This is from a different Fatebinder. Fatebinder Kylio. Questions of balance. Fatebinder, allow me to be the first to congratulate you on resolving the situation at the Burning Library. You should see Fatebinder Regulus vie himself half of his reels at the sheer loss of historical tomes and magical, yet he cannot contain his glee at hearing that the sages have been fully and entirely broken. I do not share his loathing of the old school. They built their own pyre on their hubris, true, but my opposition to them remains purely professional. To have the old Valium Citadel truly destroyed, my eyes burn at the secrets that met the flame. Comfort comes when I remember that an ambitious Fatebinder would have preserved a few choice pieces of lore, perhaps as much as they could carry out. Oh, sounds like he might know that we have the archive. I hope you soon make an effort to join us at court in the Bastard City. I often feel that it has been too long since we last whispered of the darker corners of Tyranny. You've experienced as so many of them as of late. Perhaps I can provide illumination. Might be a good idea to stop by the Bastard City before we head to Lethian's Crossing. Yeah, that's a good idea. I guess we should go speak with Ms. Verse.
Couldn't help but notice the bird from Cacophony.
Verse smirks as you approach, scrutinizing you with her mismatched gaze. Well, I guess the way she knows that we got a missive is as we arrived, we did get that response from the voices. But, wait, how does she know where the bird came from?
The voiceless birds have a certain hollowness to their movements, like puppets, or the fifth eye.
She chuckles, running a hand down her hair feathers. Oh, he even makes his birds puppets. Interesting.
But seriously, what's the boss want from us now?
Let's offer her the missive. You want to read it?
Maybe summarize it for me?
First glances at the voice's widely inconsistent lettering. Well, I kind of gathered from the voice's initial message that Verse can't really read. But let's see what she has to say about that. You can't read?
It's never struck me as being the most useful fucking skill. Wanna make something of it?
She crosses her arms, but her cheeks are flushed. We could say you don't have to be embarrassed, or I could teach you.
Hey, it's not that I... Maybe after we're done opening people up, assuming we both survive?
She's not quite sure about that, it seems. But I'm going to say right now, the voices of Narot is not my boss.
I didn't say he was. What climbed up your spire and died?
Now we gained loyalty with Siren for that. After all, she does not like the voices at all. Okay, now we can say he thinks he's found one of your sister's killers, or we can say it in a different way, namely, want to put a blade through the skull of one of the people who killed your sister Furies? Because one's apparently a loudmouth braggart.
Wait, what? He found one of the shits who killed my Furies? Let's pack up and go.
And we can ask, who is this person? We don't have the lawmaker or lawbreaker's background, so we don't have options that, or we can just say something else, these strange symbols on the back. I'm gonna go with seeing if she knows who this person is.
I don't know exactly. Does someone who helped murder my sisters in arms. But we know where to find him, right? Let's go pry the whole story from him.
Makes sense. But, what about these strange symbols on the back, Verse?
There's a lot to love about spycraft. The trickery, the blade work, keeping your senses awake, balancing on the edge between confusion and discovery. Memorizing the Archon's childish pictographs is not my favorite part.
She examines the parchment, frowning.
Malfora. She's one of Harshion's people. Bit boring, but gossipy in the way that pays. We should be able to find her along the road to Lethian's Crossing.
We can say, and she's just going to trust us. Trust us. We can say, if you can read Narot's notations, I bet you'd take to writing rather quickly. Or that seems like a lot of gifts for so little information. I'm gonna go with, and she's just gonna trust us.
The voices gave us the passphrases that will get Malfora to open up to us. When we find her, let me do the talking, and everything should run smooth as sea glass.
She rubs her hands together.
This will feel good, Binder. Wildly, incredibly, stupidly good.
Now, we could just leave and say let's go, or we can say, as I'm going to, the Archon's sudden interest in your revenge doesn't seem suspicious to you?
Are you asking me if I trust the voices of Narot? Archon of secrets, spy master, arcane pillar of green smoke and flame, immortal magician, eater of minds, and connoisseur of perversions? Of course not. But if it's some convoluted trap, I'll have your back and you'll have mine, right?
True. Well, let's head out.
Lead the way.
Now, obviously, we're going to need to put her into our party for this. And we gain a whole bunch of skills for actually talking with her about that. But we will continue that in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys have a great day.